3, 4.
It's a podcast from Steam Powered Giraffe. It's the Bennettarium. Oh, we haven't done it in a month, but we just finished our Comic-Con show. Now we're on to Wisconsin. It's the Bennettarium. Oh boy, it's the Bennettarium, and it's starting right now.
Okay.
Welcome to the Bennettarium, the podcast where the Bennetts are joined usually by Chelsea, and we talk about Steam Powered Giraffe stuff and pop culture and nerdy stuff and video games and science and
Best part of the podcast is already over.
and VR mostly VR. We haven't talked about science really, but maybe today. We'll see. Probably not. So, anyways, my name is Isabella Bunny Bennett, and I play Rabbit in Steam Powered Giraffe. See what I did there?
Oh, I'm Chelsea Penyak. I am a Walter worker with Steam Powered Giraffe.
You look extra small today because of the cherry sitting in.
But I've got these cool flight sticks.
Well, you're in a flight chair, but
This podcast is
look really
headed
small.
for an asteroid belt. You're gonna have to navigate us.
we don't. Damn, well,
You're already off to a good start.
we have too many T-shirts. I couldn't move the flight chair and put a regular chair in the way. So
I'm
we just had to
sorry.
do
But who
it.
are you? For that matter.
My name's David Michael Bennett, and I play
The spine.
Is that what Rabbit sounds like?
That's what I sound like.
Rabbit.
Okay, so what's new? We just had a very eventful weekend.
Actually, we should catch up from what our the last podcast. We had Michael Reed on,
Michael Reed.
and then we had way too many rehearsals and stuff that just couldn't justify doing a podcast. Like every Monday we had rehearsal.
We were all just
Tuesday.
too tired. We were just like, I want to sleep in.
Well,
Let's just-
believe it or not, the podcast takes all day for at least me. So, because I have to edit it. Well, not edit it too much, but I have to upload it to all these places and videos and stuff. So, it takes setup and stuff. So we couldn't justify doing it.
it
when we
usually
had
gets that
rehearsal.
way when we tour a lot and stuff. Where kind of falls by the wayside.
So the first show we had was at Anime Midwest. We flew over to Rosemont, Illinois, and did a concert at the big anime convention out there, Anime Midwest. That was a great show, except Bunny, Chelsea, and Brian all got food poisoning.
I think it was about Friday night.
I still don't know for sure what it was, but I'm guessing food poisoning. We didn't eat any of the same
I mean,
stuff.
when you're throwing up from both ends, that's food poisoning.
Well,
The only thing
it
that we-
wasn't.
The only thing that we all
for
consumed
Bunny
was
and Brian, it was.
all three of
I
us drank Aquafina bottled water
Yeah.
from the same case. So everything else we had
Could have
different
sworn
meals.
Camille had that one too. Well, whatever. Anyways, you
Who
got
knows?
food poisoning,
Yeah.
but none of it
made sense.
makes
Nothing on the airline.
It
nothing.
was awful.
I was
Um,
fine.
It was awful. Yeah.
That show was probably the hardest SPG show I've ever done
It was a
because
pretty
I've
good
never
one
been
though,
so
considering
sick.
considering that everyone was sick on stage. It was pretty good stage
Yeah.
performance.
It was good at like making you focus, but it was the worst show. Like, I mean, I guess getting sweat in your eyes is kind of bad, but this one, like having that.
I don't
was
know
awful.
I'm assuming singing is worse than having to like move and dance around a lot.
But see, like if I moved too much,
but-
my stomach was like
Yeah.
bloated with that feeling of
The-
nausea.
Camille and I do quite a few like dances on stage now, and the first one we had to do was Me and My Baby, a new one we premiered, and that dance it looks really good, and it's way harder than it looks if you're just watching it. It is so tiring on any normal day, probably because of the steps we're doing and the shoes we're wearing, and I got scared halfway through that performance that I was just going to fall over on stage during that dance, and I
Yeah.
can't believe I made it through the rest of the show. My limbs felt like lead,
I bet.
and like every time I left the stage I had to chug Gatorade, but somehow I made it through.
It was hard to do the robot. Every time it felt like so much great energy just to
Yeah.
try to lift my arms and stuff.
Exactly.
Like most of the show I was just standing around because I could not
My legs were
do
like
anything.
dragging on the ground.
Yeah. It was just completely involuntary, just like the worst sick I've been in a long time, if ever. I've never gotten food poisoning.
Me neither.
We didn't
Yes.
barf on stage though. And I didn't barf afterwards either. It just
Luckily, I think we got the worst of it over with like that morning. Our show was like
Yeah.
at 9 p.m. and the sickest I was like that morning at like around 5 or 6 in the
Definitely.
morning. And by the time the show rolled around, that part of it was over, but my body was so fatigued I could barely move.
It was not fun, but we.
That aside,
It was a pretty good show.
it was a pretty good show. We got great reception for like Zero's song and the new dance, and
Definitely.
all that was really great.
And then 2 weeks after that, then we did our Comic-Con show in Escondido Performing Arts Center for Performing Arts,
It
whatever.
was last Thursday, so.
And that was close to San Diego, so that
Yeah.
was a local show for us. That was pretty good, but I felt it wasn't as good as our Anime Midwest show.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Because it was, well, for one thing, it was really hot on stage, so it was like, I'm sure it wasn't 90 degrees on stage, but it was hot enough that I started sweating on my face, and I don't
From,
usually
I got
sweat as
sweat
much.
in
from
my
my
eyes and
I'm not
stuff,
saying
but-
Anime Midwest was a bad show, but from my perspective, I thought Escondido was
Well,
like
I'm looking
like,
at it from
we
like
were
an
really on
overall
fire.
picture, you know?
I
But
don't
also,
know.
Camille and I couldn't hear any of the bits and the dialogue on stage at Anime Midwest, and we could at Escondido. So maybe that shapes my
I'm sure there's
also-
view of the shows.
Considering that we were sick on the last one, like I felt like I was giving like, even with the sweat in my eyes, my energy was up. I was moving a lot more, and it felt like more. It felt quicker, but who knows? Because
it's
the
hard.
last show
It's hard to judge a show from the stage because for me it's how many people are there, and the
don't
more
know, I
people
felt-
there,
Yeah.
the better the show
I-
is for me.
I don't know. I felt
And
that
it was a smaller theater. It wasn't as many people as a convention, so.
I really felt that it was pretty.
It-
We were pretty funny at the
I-
Escondido one.
I was like really happy with the Escondido show.
No, I was happy with it too. I
Yeah.
just, since I was fine for both shows, like
Yeah.
my lesser of a performance was Comic-Con because it was so hot on
Yeah,
stage.
sure.
It was very hot
Well,
at
how
the
it-
Escondido show.
I guess like how we individually feel is sometimes like about our own performances is
Yeah.
different than what.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
But I'm also judging
generally-
like when people hit wrong harmonies and stuff, and I don't know. Overall, both shows were great, but if
Yeah.
I had to nitpick, I'd say the Anime Midwest show was.
I had family and friends at Escondido, and they loved it. They couldn't say enough about it.
Well, I've seen the show before, so I'm a harsher critic.
Well, these people have seen the show before.
I've seen the show from the stage. It's
It was a good show. It was
They
really-
were
it was-
both good shows.
It was very good.
It was unfortunate that you guys had food poisoning because the worst part about that is you had a few days where you didn't have food poisoning and it was just like autographs and panels and stuff,
No, yeah.
and then it's like a build up to the show, and then oh boy, food poisoning. Compared to some conventions where it's like show and then you
Yeah.
just have panels and stuff after the show.
Yeah, it was.
So that's
Unfortunate.
yeah. Because if we had the show earlier, you would have got food poisoning during the panels.
Just for the record, like most of the fans that came up said it was their best show ever.
No, I thought it was.
Like at Escondido, like.
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're
we were
fine.
we were also doing it with. It was really hot. I had sweat in my eyes, and my IMs kind of shorted out for a while. So I had to do everything without the dynamics that I'm used to. So, I felt it went really well, and I obviously I was barfing the day of Anime Midwest,
So we're in agreement. They're both good shows.
Yes.
but Escondido was better.
I would disagree, but because
Well, I guess we're gonna have to come up and talk about what were wrong in that show.
I think it's the overall.
Well, not here,
it's,
but
I guess it's hard because you
Well,
have to. It's how are you judging a show? Are you judging by the reception? Because we didn't have too many people show up for a Comic-Con show, which
Well,
is
that's nothing that we can do except for.
no. But for an Anime Midwest, you have a lot more people, and it's a convention. I
Yeah.
don't know. I would look at it in.
Well, I
in
guess
what's
the only
best
thing
for
that
the
really
band.
matters is like we talked about like speed. Like the Anime Midwest was a little slower because some of us were a little, but I felt like Escondido's jokes were like really on there. Like we had a lot more camaraderie on stage,
Sure.
just because we weren't.
Yeah.
Like,
I
they're
think
two
the,
different
I
shows.
mean, the
Yeah.
turnout may have been smaller, but I
And the
just heard so many good things after the Escondido show.
I mean, they're
and,
both fine.
and the only other important thing is, I mean, yeah, the audience is also receptive for both. The only other thing is harmonies and like how well we
Sure.
played and stuff. So that we can deconstruct hopefully in rehearsal.
It
and-
wasn't hot at Anime Midwest. That's a big factor for me.
Well, anyways, I think we had a lot of fun at both. Like it was a
For
pretty
the
good
audience, I'm
time
sure
generally.
Escondido was better because we had Steve's lighting, which was amazing, and at a local show he's able to do it all himself. And of course, we had Michael Reed that show too, so that's probably an added bonus.
Oh yeah, I mean, he actually did join us for that show, and it was well received.
He
and-
played some piano, banjo, and guitar.
Yeah, it really changes. It doesn't change too much, like too drastically, but it definitely changes like the.
Yeah, what he
The
added
feel
was
of a song.
definitely modular. Like he'll add harmonies where we normally wouldn't do on.
Yeah,
some of these
And
shows nowadays.
it was nice beforehand, like he's in tune with like what, especially for me and Camille, because he's playing live piano for "Hold Me," which we're dancing to, and he was like really. he wanted to make sure before the show
Yeah.
that he was, you know, that we weren't going to be off the music. He was like very concerned about, like, he wanted to make sure he had his timing right for us, and we worked together on that. And we explained too that, like, as dancers, we trained to follow the musician's lead.
Yeah.
He was kind of like, you know, he was seeing it from the other perspective of like, oh, I need to follow their lead and I want to make sure I get this right. So it was like a nice working together and like letting him know that, like, no, what you're doing is great. We will match whatever you play. That's what we're trained to do. And it was a cool experience after dancing to the backing track for so long.
It was nice. I had a lot of fun.
Except there's a click track, so it's all the same anyway. So no one needs to communicate. But whatever. Yeah. And that's what I felt when I was
So
like,
what-
there's a click track. Just go to that. I don't know. Maybe.
So what did everyone do after that show? Because that was Thursday, so we still had Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I worked. Did I work Friday? I don't remember. What was Friday? I didn't go to Comic-Con. I know a lot of people went to Comic-Con.
You
No,
didn't-
I
but
think
you did go out to Comic-Con.
I did. I went Saturday and Sunday. I'm just trying to remember what I did Friday because it was all such a blur after the show.
Yeah.
I
don't
drove
know.
people to Comic-Con, and then I chilled for the day. And then Saturday, I dressed up with Camille as Booster Gold. She was Blue Beetle, two DC Comics heroes, and we walked around Comic-Con. A lot of people took our picture. It was really fun.
I haven't seen any pictures. Have you posted any?
Yeah.
I haven't checked like social streams
I'll
in
show
like
you
forever.
one of us. Oh yeah, and we were like sitting at a coffee shop downtown that day, like in the middle of the day on a break from walking around, and this guy came up to us and asked if he could take a picture with us, and he was like super excited. Like first he saw Camille and he was like, "Oh my god, Blue Beetle! Oh, I love your costume!" And he was like really into it, and really excited. And he asked for a picture with us, and we were like, "Sure!" And we just like thought he was like a random like super DC fan. And then he like after he took a picture with us, he introduced himself and he was like, "Oh, I wrote for Injustice 2, the video game." And he's like, "I wrote all the Blue Beetle scenes, and I was narrative lead." And like he had it on his Comic-Con badge. He had a little like Injustice 2 business card that said narrative lead and
That's
stuff.
amazing.
And we like talked to him for a really long time about like the new secret characters that are coming out. And he's like, "I can't talk about them," but you know, he was just like super excited to see us dressed up. He said,
Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, most likely.
Well, that's great.
No, yeah, he
Rising-
said that like we were the
Rising.
only Booster Gold and Blue Beetle cosplayers he saw that day, and like
Oh.
it made him really happy and everything.
That's awesome.
Here's a picture. Sorry for the listeners. Here's a picture of me and Camille in costume.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we ordered our costumes from this
Well, I mean,
place that like hand makes any superhero costume you can imagine.
the live
They're just
stream,
that
the
guy.
live stream can't also see it either.
Yeah, sorry.
So,
Check out.
Yeah, go to my Instagram, cpenny with one N.
I guess you could hold it up, but I don't think the camera.
Yeah, I didn't have
would pick
any
it up.
tickets this year. Otherwise, it would have gone as Catwoman.
Mm.
It's too bad that when I did wear it, it was at Anime Midwest, and it was on the day that no one comes to.
Mm.
Like if I wasn't sick, I probably would have worn it for the half the day on Saturday because I don't get a lot of time to like cosplay in our job just because we're usually dressing up as robots.
Well, Saturdays are the most attended days
Yeah.
for shows, but then also Fridays are the least attended days for conventions. So, but those are also the best days for us to do a show as a Friday because then you have the rest of the weekend. You're not wasting energy up until.
So
You know
it's
what I
kind of
mean?
like there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
Well,
You want more people to show up to your
But yeah.
concert? You got to do it on a Saturday.
I-
you want, but if you want to have the energy for the rest of the convention weekend, you want your show as early as possible, like
yeah.
Friday. So, because otherwise, if your show's on, I mean, it is what it is. Like, you know, the UK, it'll be like Sunday when we'll have our show, and that's so many days where you're just tiring yourself out interacting with fans.
do we have
up until the show?
Monday in the UK to just do nothing?
No, it's always
We
we have the merchandise
we
and
sell.
we have there's more.
Monday's the
Oh.
day we like we sold at the castle last year and stuff.
see.
Yeah,
I'm always like
I know it's like it's
trying to figure out the schedule.
because we're so like jet lagged and stuff. But like our main concert last year was on Sunday, and then we
Oh, that's
sold
cool.
merch on Monday. And I
always
think
forget
it's
it's like a
gonna be
holiday,
like
right?
yeah, I think it's gonna be like the same.
Yeah,
we
it's
don't
gonna
know
be the
yet
same.
for sure,
I
but
don't think they're
it'll-
doing the photo shoot this year.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping it's a little cooler than it was last year, which is a weird thing to say about London or England, but
Yeah.
it was hot.
It was.
Yeah, they don't have air conditioners there because it doesn't get hot except for that one day.
It wasn't too bad though. It was worse when we got back.
Oh,
I mean, their
definitely.
heat
Yeah.
is not our heat.
I think we remember like coming out of the airport and we're like, oh my god, is this what
Yeah.
what happens? It's been pretty miserable in San Diego lately. I mean, I guess Comic-Con weekend, was it that bad? It was a little less muggy.
I mean, like, you know, I was in the sun a lot walking around downtown, so I had like fatigue last night from that. But it's been way worse in the past. It was pretty decent this weekend.
good.
It wasn't too muggy. There's been really, really muggy Comic-Cons that were just disgusting to walk around in, but this was a nice year.
Before we get like talking about like maybe some trailer reactions, so what I did was basically Thursday after the show, I was like, I'm so hungry. So my girlfriend was in town from San Francisco, and she really enjoyed the show. She said like it was really great to see us, like, 'cause she kind of knows us as people a little bit. It's like she says like seeing us up on stage, it's just like we were meant to do this. And she's seen the show like a couple times already, but she's definitely thought it was like the best she's ever seen. Like she thought Brian was like a great addition. But anyways, so we after the show we went to a restaurant, just kind of like it's kind of like a Denny's but a little better. And
It's definitely better than Denny's.
but it's open till like 2 a.m. So we went there and we ordered all this big food and we're like, oh yeah, I'm so hungry. And we took like 2 bites and we just crashed. Like our bodies just like were like, I can't stay awake anymore. So we just had to get all our food to go. And the waitress was like, is there something wrong with your food? And like, no, I'm just really tired. Can we get the check? And we just collapsed when we got back home. And then Friday, we just had like a girls' day, hung out, and I took her to some nerd shops around town, and yeah, then later in the day, my boyfriend came over and we all just sat around painting miniatures, and it was a really fun, relaxing weekend. So it was nice. I kind of feel ready for the week, unlike you probably, because I got to like recharge a little bit.
No, I worked. I'm still working.
So, yeah.
Comic-Con trailers.
Yeah, I watched those last night to catch up. I didn't do anything after the show. Oh, I mean, I did stuff, but it wasn't nothing notable. No one wants to hear about me talking about fixing website or orders, or it's not entertaining. Yay, Comic-Con. I watched the trailers. That's my experience with Comic-Con.
Well, I guess everyone probably saw Ready Player One, which was
I mean,
big
yeah,
ones,
there's
and
no
Steven
spoilers, but
Spielberg.
the notable thing was Iron Giant in there.
it looks. I mean, it looks cool. It's
Back
just a
to the
bunch
Future
of
car,
pop-
Tron bike.
pop culture. I feel like I'm
Freddy
getting
Krueger was in there.
right. I feel like I'm getting desensitized to movies and stuff, just because you see so many amazing things done with CG. It's like, this is cool, but I just don't have any reaction to it. Whereas, like the Shape of Water trailer, which dropped a little earlier, like
Yeah.
it had much more of a guttural reaction than Ready Player One, just because.
Well, yeah,
the subtlety,
Sounds
right?
like a CG fest, and that out of all the trailers, I think that one, The Shape of Water, is one I'm looking forward to the most.
I mean, I really like that. Guillermo really like does well with like small casts and stuff, I think.
Yeah, and it's like a horror movie, but it has his romanticized versions of horror. I know it like ain't no studio would ever make that movie happen, so it's all him.
And Doug Jones is the fishman again.
It's like Abe Sapien the movie.
Right. Yeah, it's
It's
cool.
also a period piece. It takes place in the 50s, 60s, something like that.
I liked his last movie. It was a little strange, but it was still like it has that Crimson Peak. It had like that good characters in it at least. Like it was kind of a weird
I haven't seen that
pacing
one
movie,
yet.
but it was. What else trailers were there? Oh, the Pacific Rim Uprising.
Oh, I didn't see that
Just
one.
a tiny
Oh, okay,
fragment.
that's
It
why.
shows all the Jaegers, and they're so much more advanced. They're like really fast, and they look pretty awesome. And they have like the voice of GLaDOS, what's her name, backed.
Oh, I don't know.
So I don't know.
Thor Ragnarok. That was probably the best like superhero trailer.
It looks
out of all of them.
it looks really fun.
There were a lot of trailers for like TV shows based on Marvel
And
IPs
I'm like,
and
oh,
stuff.
here's
and
Fox's thing. Here's
to be
Marvel's
honest, they
thing.
kind of all
Here's-
look the same.
Yeah, I
Here's an-
watched a couple things. I'm like Gotham. Like I finally picked it back up again. It was I had to drop it there was a storyline about I don't know. I think his name is Galavad. Like he was like the mayor that was murdered and then came back to life, and then he's like running around as a knight, and it was so cringy and he was so bad, and I hated that actor so much in that role that I stopped watching it for like 2 years, and then I picked it back up, and
Been
I
on
can't
for that
believe
long?
Gotham's been on.
I watched
that
the first
long.
episode.
whatever,
And I'm
it
like,
just felt
nope, not for
what
me.
I just dropped it, and I was like,
Yeah.
and then I watched it and got through it, and then there was another villain that was horrible, the Mad Hatter, and I just hated that storyline. And once you get through that, then the Joker comes on the scene. It's like, yes, this is better. And then I think I'm still working through it, but apparently in next season he's becoming Batman, which is like, okay, finally. It's like,
Jeez.
finally.
Huh.
I mean, he's only like 16 years old, but yeah, it's believable. Like, it could probably make it work.
Yeah.
But Catwoman was there when his parents died.
No.
Just making sure everyone is aware of that.
Was it?
Episode 1.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh my
right.
God, so
Oh,
bad.
Selena. Yeah, it's not a very good. There's some really corny part. Like even the corny stuff is, even though it's supposed to be corny, like it's just really bad.
Well, I'm
Like,
sure someone out there likes it. Someone likes all the
it
CW
has-
shows too. So
it
you
has
know,
its
There's an audience out there for everything.
it has its moments, but it's just I like the CW shows more. Honestly, I don't know why.
Maybe because they're more lighthearted or something.
Maybe they're more consistent. Like they're corny and stuff, but they're all right. Like they're consistently that flavor. But anyway,
I mean, at this point, I feel like The Flash is the only one anyone likes. Supergirl went super downhill when it moved to CBS. Arrow, no one cares about Arrow anymore.
It
went
moved?
right through the quiver.
Yeah,
don't they still have?
Well, Supergirl was
crossovers?
originally on CW, but then they moved to CBS, and ever since they did that, like everyone hates it
and
now.
So
Gotham
can they
fell down
not
a
play
ba-
with
into the
the Flash
Batcave.
anymore? Is that?
I don't know. I don't know how that works, but they're all over the place.
I hope everyone else is appreciating the unintentional pun that Chelsea did, and then me just riffing on the rest of the shows.
They're all right. Like the Flash is probably the most decent, but
Yeah.
Are they puns?
What's that one with a bunch of
Oh my
people,
God.
like with the
couldn't-
Flash villains on it
I
and stuff?
couldn't.
No, Camille tried that one. She said it was awful.
Heroes of Tomorrow.
Something like that.
So dumb.
She can't watch that one. She dropped Arrow. She dropped Supergirl. Like the only one she really watches anymore is Flash, and I'm only using her as an example because she reads DC Comics.
The Supergirl is the last season was kind of but
Yeah.
the Flash has been decent. But
They've got a lot of those. Okay, so the Netflix has the Defenders coming, which is all their Marvel stuff together. And the only thing I'll say about that trailer is that theme song sounds pretty cool.
what about? Did someone
remember
forget
it.
to tell Daredevil that we're not wearing costumes? That's all I could think of. Is like
Oh yeah.
he shows up all in his, and then everyone else is just wearing
I'm
street
just-
clothes.
He's the only
want
one
them
in a
costumes. I don't understand.
That's the
why
only
they
that
don't.
bugs me. Just why doesn't?
I mean, I get
anyone-
Luke Cage doesn't really have a
Yeah.
costume, but
Iron Fist has a costume, and I understand like Jessica Jones is not supposed to, but she should have a costume. Like it doesn't. She doesn't
But
need her dorky one. They can
but
make a new
it's
one.
just so weird because I sat through Jessica Jones and it was a little hard
He's
to get
all
through.
right.
But I couldn't get through Daredevil the second episode of season 2. I thought season 1 was great, but maybe now I just can't do the superhero thing anymore.
Really? Gosh, I loved the Punisher arc.
I know, I liked
would want to
him, but
watch
I
it for the
just-
Punisher, but the
Like-
rest of it really lost
But just
me.
knowing that when Elektra comes, everyone says that's the worst part. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh boy, I can't wait for it to go downhill. When
But then the
Elektra-
Punisher comes back and it's great.
Well, like, and pretty much my favorite thing about the first season of Daredevil was the
Fisk.
Fisk.
Yeah.
He was like the best thing about that
Yeah.
show, and how like he was the villain, but like half the
Yeah.
season was about him, and without him, I kind of lost
He
interest.
he comes in season
I
2.
know
but
that he like makes an appearance.
honestly,
but
I
it's
feel
not
like the Elektra
same.
storyline is where it loses
Yeah.
its charm, and it's not a good ending. And
And
it's-
like I know this is all subjective in opinion, but I absolutely can't stand the actress who plays Karen Page. Like not her as an actress. I thought she was great on True Blood all those years, but like I just can't stand her acting as Karen Page. I just like can't do it.
I don't know who that is.
She's like the main. She's the girl. She's the main girl, the secretary who like works
Yeah.
for them
Oh,
or
yeah,
something.
okay.
But like, she just
I-
drives me nuts as a character.
I can't get through Iron Fist. I'm really trying. The first couple episodes are really good, and the way I think the way they did it was like excellent. Like you come in not knowing much about him, and he's kind of like he doesn't really understand what happened to his company and all that, and it's really good. But then it just starts. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's hard to get through.
Yeah. I would like to watch Luke Cage. It's not like
Luke
a
Cage is my
priority.
favorite.
It's not like, no one's really been like, you have to sit down and watch this. And I know it's not like anything like super spectacular, but I do really want to watch Luke Cage.
I feel like
I don't have any interest in Iron
most of the
Fist.
Netflix ones. They suffer from
They try to
poor
drag him
pacing.
out.
Yeah. And I just
Yeah.
feel like, oh my god.
Jessica Jones got better towards the end. Like the
Yeah.
first one was good. The first episode was good. The last few episodes were good, but the whole middle of Jessica Jones dragged so long for me, and like we almost gave it up.
Because it's the thing is like you feel bad because you're like, I don't want them to, they're done with their talking. Like I'm tired of them talking. Stop talking. Go do something.
Yeah.
But the thing is like it's the reason why that's not good for them is because there's shows out there where all the show is talking and it's amazing. Like Better Call Saul and stuff. Like if your writing is amazing, you can have them sitting around doing nothing.
Exactly.
But if your writing sucks, then you're torturing the viewer.
I hope it finds it, because you know a lot of these season 2s or Jessica Jones and Iron Fist are kind of made in the same time, so I'm like hoping like maybe they'll get better. But to be honest, like I have my gripes with all of them, but I definitely think they're watchable. It's just I don't know.
No, they're watchable. I mean, like production value wise, I'd way rather watch one of those than like a CW show.
I'm still gonna do all the Breaking Bad. Okay, so another superhero, Justice League, the new trailer. I thought that looked a lot better, and maybe a little too many spoilers, but
yeah, it was less Batman having
little
quips. And I mean, there was a few. The Flash had one at the end.
Is anyone else just thinking like, looks like Commissioner Gordon gave up trying to find pictures of Spider-Man and went to Gotham.
Yeah.
I guess.
He was so great in that Raimi trilogy.
Because that's exactly Jonah Jameson. Because it mimics the 90s cartoon so well.
Yeah,
that's why that Raimi trilogy
looks good. But in the trailer, like Aquaman, all he does is swim. Everyone else gets all these action scenes, and
he like jumps through a building.
Yeah.
And then he like whips his hair back.
I mean, like I knew, so it was really weird because like they dropped the teaser, the first one, at Comic-Con last year. I can't believe it's already been a year.
Oh my God,
because I remember watching it with my friends at Comic-Con.
Wayne like winking all and
and like I know everyone was like, "Oh, that trailer was so bad," and I agreed, but I knew that they were being super manipulative with the editing because of the success of Guardians and trying to make it like Suicide Squad. I was waiting for a trailer like this one to show that it's not all going to be quips and one-liners.
Yeah. I mean, the new trailer had that little riff in the beginning, but it wasn't.
So Superman. Why is Superman coming to Alfred? Why is that a thing? Because that's what's happening at the end of that trailer, right?
I don't know.
It's not really a spoiler. It's just you can only.
There's something made to think that
Superman
thing on
back at
the panel.
I'm very adamant about. I swear they're such cowards because they won't show Superman in the trailer.
If he doesn't have his black suit, I'm gonna
They
be
think no one likes Superman. They don't think anyone likes Superman. It's all about Batman. But I mean, I can't complain too much because look at all the Wonder Woman in that trailer. That's because of the success of her movie.
Yeah, you see some of the Amazon and stuff too.
But no, I just like died at the end of the trailer because it was like apparent that he was
Amazons,
there, but they didn't show him, and I was like, you cowards.
So at the panel, Jason Momoa said, there's a question from a kid who's like, so is Superman going to be in the trailer? And Gal Gadot, or whatever her name is, Wonder Woman,
Gal Gadot,
was like, oh, I guess you're just going to have to watch. And Jason Momoa was like, hey kid, Superman's dead. And everyone's like, oh. He's like, what? My kids are here. And I told him, Superman's dead. He's not coming back.
I love Jason Momoa.
Just a hard fact of life, kid.
Superman's dead.
Yeah.
His coffin is Superman now. That's why it flew
he has to have the black suit. He has to come back in the black suit. Like they have to do that.
There's like photoshops of him on set with the black suit and the long hair. It's a fake.
I know, but it's just.
That's
what else was there?
That's a Star Trek reference.
No, there was a Star Trek, the new Star Trek thing. They had a longer one. So, the new Star Trek series, it ain't gonna be them discovering stuff because this is back when Starfleet was doing war stuff. So now it's going to justify it being an action show. Star Trek Discovery or whatever?
The new one, Enterprise is still the first one in the timeline, right? Is this one after the original series?
About Star Trek.
I'm not sure. I was underwhelmed by the first trailer. I haven't seen the second trailer.
I just know people want more Star Trek Next Generation, and what they're going to get is more Abrams.
Yeah.
God,
just stop it with the action.
I will say I
just
really like the look of the
Next
Klingons.
Generation.
In this TV show, they
look really good.
But those, and I don't know enough about Star Trek, but apparently those are an outcast version of Klingons that are like mutated, or they're ancient Klingons.
Okay,
I don't know.
So okay, I'll tell you. So the deal with the Klingons is that in the 60s, the original series, the Klingons didn't really have the forehead plate prosthetics. They had like these like weird Vulcan eyebrows, and they kind of had like a little bit of makeup on, but they just looked like people.
Right.
And when Next Generation started with Worf and everything, they redid the Klingon look, and it was just like a creative decision. They just decided to redo how they looked, but people kept asking like if there was a reason why the old ones looked different. Like they wanted it to be like they wanted there to be some kind of like the fans wanted there to be some kind of like reason in the canon that they looked different, and they would like make up all these like theories and everything. And finally, when Deep Space Nine rolled around, the writers actually addressed that. They like, you know, they had been hearing from fans for so many years that they wanted like some kind of like little tidbit about why the old Klingons looked different. So in Deep Space Nine, they, without going into too much detail and stuff, they have an episode that kind of involves time travel. Not really, but anyway, like they like the characters from Deep Space Nine see like images of like the old Klingons, and like they ask Worf like, why do they look so different? And Worf kind of like looks all shifty. It's like supposed to be funny, and he's like, we don't talk about that in like the Klingon Empire. We don't talk about them. And like they kind of just played it off for laughs. But then later, I think in Enterprise, I don't remember. I've watched a lot of Star Trek, but I'm not like an expert like encyclopedia. But then later in the Enterprise series, they went further with the joke and actually explained that it was some kind of like genetic experiment gone wrong.
Yeah.
Like I think maybe something to do with like what Khan was, like a superhuman like experiment, and like the Klingons were trying to mess with that and like create better warriors, and like they lost their forehead plates or something like that. So long story short, they eventually created this explanation within the Star Trek universe as to why the 60s Klingons look different.
What I appreciated, that even though I'm not like not really knowledgeable about it, I know the newer series, the one that has 3 movies, the first one they had no foreheads. The second one they did. I just like that they kept it accurate.
I forgot to order food today.
Oh no.
No, I don't have any food in my house.
Oh.
I'm hungry right now. I'm gonna go look for something to eat.
Okay.
That's kind of reminds me I have food too.
Yeah, so
I hope the series is good. Maybe it'll surprise, but I watching like generations in the old Star Treks, which I'm like slowly getting through, like they're really good, and they're so ahead of their time, especially that first series. Like it just blows my mind like that this was even a thing, and how did I go so many years not knowing that, how in depth it is, and how much
I love Star Trek. Deep Space Nine is my favorite. I've watched all of the series. I have a soft spot for Enterprise 2, the one with Scott Bakula. Oh, yeah. It's really good after you get past the first season. It really picked up, and it's one of those unfortunate things where it got canceled right as it was getting good. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm a big Star Trek fan, and I grew up with them all. So,
well, hopefully it's good. If it's not, well...
Yeah, I know. It kind of sucks that it's, you know, CBS is doing the whole thing where it's
maybe they're just trying to
I mean,
highlight
I'm
the
willing
action.
to wait. Like, you know, I know they're hoping to get more subscriptions to their like streaming service just because people are going to want to watch Star Trek, but it's like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to wait till I have some other way of watching it. I know it'll happen eventually. But.
What else trailers were there at I know there's a couple.
Well, there were the 2 like X-Men TV shows
I
where
didn't watch those ones, but I'm kind of underwhelmed by them.
No,
anyways,
yeah.
Even seeing
well, it's funny
anything.
because the Marvel one is called Inhumans, and they like can't use the word X-Men, which is hilarious.
Well, the Inhumans,
but it's like technically X-Men, right?
The Inhumans are they are basically mutants, but they have their whole comic book and stuff.
Okay.
What kind of bothers me is like, I haven't looked into it, but they already have Inhumans on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so are they keeping it, or are they keeping it separate? Like, it confuses me. I'm not really sure.
Like, are they separate on separate channels?
Because I thought it was really brilliant how they did Inhumans, and they connected it to the... What are they called? The blue aliens? Those guys, and they connected... You know, they basically planted, like, genetic codes that can only be activated with this special rock that got out into the world. So now that's how there's some mutants, but they're all just Inhumans.
I haven't heard anything about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this year. Is it still on?
I don't know.
Do
I
people
know
just not care
Robot
about
Chick.
it
I know
now?
Robot Chicken made a great joke on previewing their new season where it's like every episode of Agents of Shield, and it's just like, look, it's Iron Man over there. It's like,
Yeah.
where? Let me see. And it's like, no, just take my word for it. And
Yeah.
it's like, or it's like we should
Exactly.
there's an alien threat or something. It's like we need to call Thor. And it's like, no, he's busy. It's like, let's call Iron Man birthday party.
Well, that's my problem with these kinds of shows, and to an extent, like Gotham is the same way, where it's like I don't want to watch a show about, like I just want to watch a show about Iron Man or Thor
Watch
or
a show about the
Batman.
accountants. Of
I
Thor.
don't want-
Freaking Gotham has
was-
the budget to make Batman in it.
Yeah.
Like they've done some amazing like fight scenes and stuff. They have the technology. They can
there
do
was
it.
that, like, I think it was very short lived. I don't know if it got past like a couple episodes, but there was like that comedy one too, right? That was trying to be
Oh,
in the
yeah.
style of The
I never
Office,
saw it. Yeah, it just got.
and was
bombed.
I don't remember if it was DC or Marvel, but it was
I can't
supposed to be
remember.
about like regular old
Did that
people.
come out yet, or
Yeah, I think it just failed horribly.
Yeah.
I think it was on prime time, so it's not surprising.
Ugh.
should bring back the Muppets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I thought the last
I was really
series
sad
was
when they canceled
not
that.
too bad. Even with its hiccups, it
The-
was still entertaining.
Yeah, we watched it on Hulu.
Was there anything else that was premiered at Comic-Con? I know that I saw some more stuff, but I just can't remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what
Was this-
trailers we watched.
There's one I got really excited
Thor
about.
Ragnarok. That was. Had
Oh,
some,
they had like a teaser for Westworld season 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
Westworld.
didn't say much. There was like a tiger. I was hoping like Shogun World. Is that one?
Maybe.
They're keeping it very under
Yeah.
wraps. I don't even know. Are they done filming even? Because it
Probably not.
it
Probably
premieres
not.
next year. I mean, we might get another Comic-Con before the Westworld 2 comes out. Stranger Things 2.
Oh yeah, that was a great trailer.
I have a very like strange, complicated relationship with Stranger Things because I really enjoyed the show, but I started suffering from hype backlash where like everyone like wouldn't stop talking about it.
Right.
So I was kind of like, after a while, I got so tired of hearing about it that
I'm
was
glad
like,
I picked it up like right, and I didn't pay attention to the internet.
No, the
And
show
it's-
was really, really good, but like the level of hype and hysteria about it within pop culture is getting a little tiring for me.
Yeah.
But the show is good. I'm looking forward to
Gosh,
season
there was an
2.
actor in there that I was like, oh my god. Whoa!
Oh.
Freaking Sean Astin. was
Yeah,
in it.
I
was like,
thought I
yay.
saw Sean Astin. I wasn't sure if it was
Every
him, though.
time that he's on a show, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. He dies.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Did you watch 24?
no.
He was on
oh my
24 and he
God.
died.
Yeah, freaking The Strain, which is an amazing show, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't finished it. Like, no. Like,
Oh
spoilers.
yeah, Camille's a huge 24 fan, and back in the day, I think he was in season 5 as like a guest star for that season, and he had like a heartbreaking death scene.
He's
but-
such a great guy, and he's
that
such
was a really good
such
one
a
too.
nice actor. I mean,
Yeah.
he plays some real nice subtle stuff. Like,
We ran into
talking
him
about Samwise,
briefly.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't mean to. Share the load.
We ran into him briefly, like years and years ago, at like a Lord of the Rings convention in Pasadena.
I
and
hear
he's just
like
always
such a great guy.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun. It's always like even though I don't attend, like you see all the new stuff coming out, and it's all you see the pictures, and it's like this
Yeah.
nice energy around town.
It is like
I mean, chaos
I've-
too, but
I've met so many people at Comic-Con, like actors and otherwise, or even people who like aren't famous, but like that are people who are cool to run into, like the Injustice guy, and like
Yeah.
talking to him because we were in costume, and there's just like there are so many chances for run-ins with people who are interesting to talk to at Comic-Con.
I mean, the
it's
culture's
so
kind of
huge.
changed. Like, I mean, people want that connection because like media and stuff is just blown up. It's all encompassing. Everyone watches television, and like you might not like, maybe some of these crappy
Yeah.
TV shows, but there's people that are just as passionate about that as you are as comic books and stuff, and
Yeah.
I just think that's amazing. Like it's the same people like that like us, and they go to our concerts because it's basically like Comic-Con for them. They can meet these
Yeah.
people that they've kind of
Yeah.
I don't know, they relieve their stresses with our
Right.
content.
Yeah,
and I do the same thing with these television shows and these
Totally.
movies. Like it's
No, there's not too many people that I feel like really fangirly about, and like I don't know, I'm pretty chill. I've met so many people over the years at Comic-Con, and I don't do the whole like, oh my god, like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
get fangirly about people. But on Saturday, me and Camille were at like the lounge at the hotel near the convention center, and Damon Lindelof was like 2 booths away in a meeting.
Who's that?
He's he's done a lot. He was one of the showrunners of Lost, and he like wrote Prometheus, and he's one of those guys that like a
That's
lot of
great.
people love to hate because you know, he's done a lot of stuff that people don't really like. And I remember the summer that Prometheus came out a few years ago, Camille and I went to a panel that he did at Comic-Con about like how to deal with hate and stuff on the internet. And like it was really like depressing and like heartbreaking listening to him talk about like his struggles with that, because like he just like
for you, or what?
It still hasn't. You wanted to
No,
finish
I have
it?
Soylent.
Oh, okay.
yeah, no, he's dealt with a lot of stuff, and like, you know, he said in that panel a few years ago that he's like a really empathetic person, and he has a really hard time dealing with the negative comments. And like when Lost ended, people were like, you know, literally tweeting him to kill himself and all that. And you know, it was just an hour of him talking about how he deals with it. That's and great. How at a certain point, like, there's nothing you can do but get rid of
I really like
your
seeing
presence online. But yeah, like we like said hi to him and shook his hand
cool.
on Saturday, and but
yeah, I don't fangirl either, but like there's obviously like people in the industry I respect or admire.
Yeah, it's more like a respect and admiration thing where it's like there's only a few people I like get nervous approaching because it's like I find them admirable. When I see
celebrities like kind of opening up and actually sharing some of the issues I have, like the, you know, sensitivity to critique or basically like the hostile environment of the internet and stuff. It's just when they're real, love or hate them. Like I like Josh Whedon, like just really great Whedon. About like he just posts these vlogs of like just pulling at his heart and stuff, and I love that. I just love that about the guy. Like it's just there's like an earnestness that I think like I know a lot of fans like appreciate when they see their favorite people do that. It's great. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like most of it is just like anyone with an online presence who's an artist of some sort. Like they just imagine that they were painting a picture, and they painted an apple blue instead of red, and I feel like that's, or maybe they painted it green. Maybe no, wait, they painted they painted a picture of an apple, but they painted the apple blue instead of purple. You know what I mean? So, and people are complaining that you didn't use the right color.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's what every argument is.
The internet is just full of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's so frustrating as a creator for one thing, but then because someone's telling you how to do it or something, or I guess that's one part of it, but also where you don't even care, like, oh, that's great, but it is what it is because that's not how it is. And so it feels like it's less about I wish you had this and more about you should die because you didn't do it the way I wanted to. And that's pretty much the vibe you get from
exactly
the internet.
What that that's exactly the panel I went to a few years ago with Lindelof was all about. That like it's all subjective. Why do you feel so entitled to, you know,
because some people, if they don't have anything going on for them, of course any input that they can give that might swing it in their direction is going to be good.
And and speaking of him, I'm a big fan of Damon Lindelof, and I haven't even watched his most recent show, which just ended, called The Leftovers, and that's been getting like awesome reviews.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to check that out.
I'm just convinced nothing's going to be as good as, I don't even know the director's name, but whoever did Breaking Bad and
Vince Gilligan.
I mean, I like Better Call Saul way over Breaking Bad because it's a lot more lighthearted, in my mind.
Lighter than Breaking Bad. I don't know if it's lighthearted. I mean, there's comedy in it, but it's still pretty like.
I don't have the Breaking Bad after binge watching that one. That was real intense, like anxiety.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even when I binge watched like Game of Thrones the first few seasons to catch up, like, you know, it put me. I absorb all the stuff I'm watching, and I was like,
I haven't seen the new episode,
and like I was so pissed.
Don't
like,
say nothing.
We went to like, you know, spoilers, season 1. Ned Stark gets beheaded. Like I was just so pissed,
shocked,
like,
and every season after that it was just shock, and then until you're like, okay, what's happening this time?
But but like so and that like translates into my real world thing. So I can't go and watch something that's super intense if I have to be a person because I will be whatever emotions that television show will evoke.
I haven't finished Breaking Bad for that reason or continued it. Same with Boardwalk Empire. I have to be emotionally prepared.
Oh god, I was so good. For whatever reason, Breaking Bad is like my comfort food show. I'll just like put a random episode on when I just like am under a blanket or something. I don't know why.
Putting it in not binge watching that kind of show is good because Boardwalk Empire I didn't binge watch it. I maybe watched an episode or two a week, and it was a lot easier to get through.
Yeah,
like, and then I could appreciate it more.
Well, I think shows like that, it's like the characters are like eating the screen in the best possible way. The subtlety that the camera angles, everything. That it's the direction is so good.
Yeah, no, Breaking Bad
just gets
is
to you.
really hard to watch because you absorb so much of it, and it's hard to watch because it's so well done.
Yeah.
Like it.
I mean,
really
once you
gets
get to
under
the end
your
of it, it's
skin.
like great. I never want to watch it again, but just because I can't
Oh,
do those
I
emotions again.
I've watched it
But
like
Better
3
Call
times.
Saul,
over.
on the other hand, is
That
way
one-
more my
Better
speed.
Call Saul 2, like both of them are amazing.
I mean, yeah,
You know
it's
what-
dealing with some dark stuff too, but
You know
Yeah.
what the when you get into a television show like that, for a moment, your problems don't matter, which is
Yeah.
like an amazing feeling. Even if you're like you're like kind of anxious and stuff, at least you're not thinking
Yeah.
about your own stuff, right?
well, at least I'm not making meth.
right?
I mean, I
But it's
could,
true,
I
right?
could gush about Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul for hours. And Breaking Bad, like, I'm not even exaggerating when I say it's probably the greatest television show I've ever watched.
I'm only on season 2, and I thought it was pretty good, but I probably
Yeah.
haven't gotten to the meat
Season
of
1
it.
was really short because I believe that was the year of the writer's strike back in 2008, and that's why it cut,
I
they
barely
cut it
scratched the
short.
surface. I'm
Oh,
sure.
you've barely scratched the surface. It's
Gosh.
just incredible.
But we probably already talked about this on the podcast before. I feel like, but the
Probably.
cinematography on that show, or that director and his team, it carries through Breaking Bad, it carries through Better Call Saul, and it always gets
Yeah.
better. It never gets worse.
Vince
It's like-
Gilligan, I believe, started as a writer on X-Files, and then he became the showrunner of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
I just feel like they could make a show about anything, and it will be interesting to watch. Like, I don't have
It's-
any interest in watching a show about lawyers, you know.
Yeah.
But that's, Better Call Saul is a lot about that. About
Better Call Saul, yeah.
I mean, it's
like,
a
who
lot
would've
more than
thought?
that, but it's like it's so like you
I
know.
have to get
It's-
there. I have to catch up.
It's it's just a perfect mix of the creative team making it. You have to have a great director. You have to have great writers. You have to have great set design. That's one of the things about, you know, they I forget what it was, maybe like a commentary track on one of the Breaking Bad episodes. They were like, shooting in Albuquerque could be so dreadfully drab and boring, but it's one of the most beautiful shows I've ever watched, and it's because they have talented people who have that photographer's eye and like know how to tell a story visually in any setting.
I also wonder how much of it is like non-studio interference, or having like just the pieces, just, you know, like a good crew or everything.
Right.
Like
Right.
you heard some of the early stories about like Walking Dead, like just that it was, you know, the original creator of that show just
Oh,
got like
yeah.
booted off,
That
and like
was
it was
like
just,
a big,
gosh,
big thing at the time.
like imagine like if that happened with, it's just
yeah,
like how much of it is just chance that you're gonna get the nice working environment to
yeah.
actually create something that's meaningful.
I'm pretty sure like most of the crew of Better Call Saul is from Breaking Bad. Like
Yeah.
there was hardly any,
Yeah.
you know, it was a pretty smooth transition.
I imagine.
From what I know.
I imagine the only reason that show Better Call Saul could get made is because of the success of Breaking Bad.
Definitely.
Because I mean, just like he probably has a little more leeway now.
And Bob Odenkirk's character was originally supposed to only be in like a few episodes of Breaking Bad, but it was one of those miracles where they just realized what a find they had in that character. and
He's
stuff.
I started watching Mr. Show. I think it's on free on Prime. I'm like, gosh, it's just him and David Cross are just hilarious.
they redid that. They had the new one. On
Yeah,
Netflix.
it had
wasn't
some
as good,
moments.
but yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
it's only so many episodes, and it's over. But yeah, I mean, they're older and stuff. But I love Bob Odenkirk.
He was like a mentor to Tim and Eric.
He's written a lot of stuff too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Pretty sure.
I don't know. Chelsea would know.
What?
Bob Odenkirk, he's like a writer too, right? He's
I think so. I
Yeah.
believe he writes. I started listening to the official Better Call Saul podcast, which used to be the official Breaking Bad podcast, and it's currently run by 2 of Saul's editors, and they have some good insight, and it's a nice casual podcast where they sit around a table talking. And I was listening to one where Bob Odenkirk was talking about his experiences on Mr. Show and stuff.
yeah.
But like that's a good podcast to check out for anyone who likes Better Call Saul.
I feel like anything if I'm gonna watch it has to be kind of on par with that stuff. Like I can, like you know, like
I'm really
I
spoiled
I don't
by
need
good
high
television.
production and values, but I mean I feel like I don't mind. It's not really about what the show's about. Like that can only take it so far for me, you know.
It has to be visually
I'm fine watching
interesting.
stuff about
Yeah.
fantastical stuff or superheroes and stuff or real life stuff, as long as it's a good story told
Yeah.
well.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm a little more, what's the word? Forgiving when it comes to media, but I mean I have my limits, but like I can put myself in the mode to be like, okay, this is a crap TV show. I'm probably gonna be on my phone for most of it,
Yeah.
and I'll wait until the moments happen,
I've done that.
and then
with
wonder
shows.
like frustrating, like why didn't you just do this? But I don't know. It just
Yeah, I don't like critiquing something that I'm watching
I don't know. It's sometimes
because I
think it's important that you can critique things that you like.
right. Sometimes it's fun to watch something that's bad and like you're thinking like,
Yeah.
man, I wish they have done this,
Yeah.
or
And
or
I'm
be
not
pleasantly
saying-
surprised when one of the writers
Yeah.
does something right or the actor is like actually has a good scene. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, good.
I'm
you
not
can
saying
actually-
everyone has to do that. But
Yeah,
like,
it's just it can be hard
I
if you
think
just want
it's-
something.
Yeah, I think it's good when you can like, when you're not just like blindly loving something. Like I picked and critiqued it Lost all the time, and that's like my favorite show ever. It's like, I don't know, just like me as a person, like I find myself being able to critique things I love and it not like that doesn't
Yeah.
affect my love of it.
Sure.
But I consume a lot of media. Like that's just that's just how I do it.
I feel it's almost like reading. If for like some people, it's or like writers, or have to read a lot. So
Yeah.
it's like if I don't watch like a chunk of like what's out there,
Yeah.
like what am I missing on in telling my own stories? Like I'll never
Yeah,
know.
sure.
Like seeing how other people do it, like even the bad stuff, it's like I don't know. But that's just me. I speaking of like Batman, just because I recently finished it, that Telltale game that's getting
Oh.
season 2 is amazing.
Really?
It's like the best Bruce Wayne and Batman. I don't even know. And it's not it's like a Telltale game, so it's not like their animations are that great. But every time you like his eyebrows like move or when he talks, it's just like holy crap. That's like I love that Bruce Wayne. He's so good.
Huh.
You guys should check it out.
Yeah,
It's
I
really
think
fun.
Camille played like the first episode, but we haven't picked it up since then.
Yeah.
I did like the first 2 episodes of the Game of Thrones Telltale game,
That was
and I
intense.
never finished it.
Me neither.
I think you did, right?
the best episode's the first one.
Oh,
They're all.
well
it,
then.
I mean, if you want to, but it has a hard cutoff, and it's not like you're making changes to the Game of Thrones universe.
I watched
So-
you play a lot of the ones that I didn't play, and I was like, I'm not surprised that this took so many like shocking turns because of the source material.
I think it's free for PlayStation Plus right now. So.
yeah, like the season pass.
It's
so.
good. I mean, yeah, that's the worst thing about Telltale games is the stilted animation system and stuff.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but the writing is usually like just amazing.
I mean, there's improvements in the newer games, but not enough to. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm losing interest.
Wasn't the Borderlands one like really well received?
Yeah, it was a lot. It was that was pretty good.
I would say I would warn people when playing the Batman one. I don't know if it's would be the same for everyone, but on PlayStation at least, if you do the have your friends come in and like because they have that new thing where you can like vote on stuff. If you do that and you play the
yeah.
game and they leave or anything, or you shouldn't do that if you're just playing alone or because it slows down the game considerably for some reason. It just makes everything really janky.
Oh.
And sometimes Bruce Wayne's head will do like a 180 and it's just
Oh
You'll be like
man.
you'll be like talking to someone that's supposed to be in front of him and his head's like
Oh my god.
it happened once and I was like, oh, okay, well
I mean, games don't need to be finished at this day and age. They can always patch it later.
it was still really good. It was still really good. Like the story is so good enough that I forgot when those moments happens, but anyways.
Nothing will beat The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
I feel like when I find that standard, I'm like, okay, everything else meet this standard.
Yeah. I picked up what I pick up. I picked up Splatoon 2. I kind of like it, but it's hard. It's really hard.
Oh yeah, I played a little bit of that.
The first
Meh.
one.
Oh yeah, the first one. We played the first one.
It's nice. I mean, the style's like I kind of like it, but it's just really hard to get those motion controls down, and you have to play with the motion controls because it's so hard to aim with the. It's just you got to be fast, otherwise you're dead.
I don't like competitive games.
It has a whole single player campaign, but
Yeah, the first one didn't either, but I mean, I don't know.
it didn't.
It didn't.
Well, the second one
no,
does.
not re- no,
It's
I didn't
pretty
know.
challenging though, but it's a cute game. I think it's really overpriced though right now.
Oh.
I don't like any of the designs. I can't make a Squid Kid that represents me, because I'd never wear a T-shirt with a logo on it. So
Yeah, I kind of wish that there is some clothing that doesn't have any logos on it, but it's
nothing. When I if you look through, I mean, I know that's a stupid critique, but it's like if I was a kid and I was playing this game, I'd feel like
some of the NPCs are so much better than the Squid Kids. They give like their hairstyles and everything. There's like one lady that has all the like tentacles that have like suction cup. It's just some of the designs that the NPCs get are so much cooler than what you have available. But I think beyond that, the gameplay mechanics are pretty solid. Like it's really unique and fun and strangely addicting. But
So we're going to the Bristol Renaissance Fair in something, Wisconsin, Kenosha.
Oh
that
yeah, the transition time.
Does that sound like a city? Kenosha, Washington?
Kenosha, Wisconsin. At the Bristol Ren Fair. Yeah. Sorry, I was like.
That's our show's this Saturday actually.
It came out of nowhere.
July
July 29th is the day of our show.
At 6:30 p.m.
I think it's
remember the
6:30
time.
p.m. Right?
Okay.
So I mean, we just did a Ren Fair with the same company that puts on
the
Irwindale one. So this is their
leisure fair.
This is sort of their, what is it, Midwest? Is that right? Midder, I don't know. Middle.
Yeah, they have an
of
East Coast
America.
one, a West Coast one,
Yeah.
and they have
Midwest.
the Midwest one.
So I'm expecting
mid-
like top
mid-
quality just from the Renaissance Fair. So if you've never gone, like definitely check it out because I'm sure it's like amazing.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna do a little show and see who shows up. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a last minute announcement, but they really wanted us, so check that out if you're listening to the podcast.
if this one goes well, we might be headed to New York. So
Who knows? We also have some other shows that we really want to announce, but we can't yet.
yeah, there's some great stuff. We're gonna be very, very busy.
Yeah.
Is that what? Oh God, my life. Is that what you're doing?
I'm just tired.
You're just
I
like
forgot to eat.
David's like nuzzling the microphone with his forehead. I don't know.
Maybe Tuesday I'll have a little break.
Yeah. Exciting stuff that we can't talk about yet.
I'm satisfied. Like I'm looking at my schedule and like I don't have a lot of time to breathe. It's nice.
I love that feeling. I mean, like after you get down from that high and you finally do get some time to breathe, you realize how much you needed it. But I love the feeling of looking at a calendar and seeing so much to do ahead.
I've found that my work on like the comics and stuff is just because I had a lot of time to work on them, and now I'm like I want to every week, but then as soon as I jump started, I'm like, oh, gotta rehearse, gotta do this, gotta prep, gotta pack.
I don't know. I hear that so much from creative people, and like I'm the same way. I get my best ideas, and I get the drive to do the most work when I'm too busy to do any of it.
It's
and
kind
then
of a
when
good
I'm
thing,
not
though.
busy, I don't want to do anything.
With Steam Powered Giraffe, it's almost like when I get into that the rehearsal and touring mode,
Yeah.
suddenly, I don't know, it like shuts off the other parts.
Yeah.
Like it fulfills enough, and it like occupies space in my brain to where my creativity suddenly either goes to video games or something weird, like it's something that's not Steam Powered Giraffe. So
I just like keeping busy is the best way to ward off anxiety and depression, which I do deal with occasionally. And like, you know, I get antsy, or no, I get like anxious when I know that I have like a stretch of nothing coming up, because I know that my brain is going to fall into bad patterns and of restlessness and stuff.
And plus, just because the nature of our act, like even though there's repetition and stuff, like the touring always feels like,
oh, it always feels fresh and fun.
it feels fresh. Yeah, I mean, we go through the same motions in packing and like or whatever in flying, but even if you have like duties that you do repeatedly throughout the week, which we do, it breaks up the monotony of everything.
Yeah, I have enough that isn't monotonous that I even like will enjoy the more menial tasks getting ready for a show, like packing and stuff. Like I find that there's like some therapeutic like comfort in doing the same thing every time before a show. I don't know. I just like the rhythm.
And
I like the rhythm.
I'm usually like, I always like sleep the best the night before, or like really relax, because it's like, you know, you're gonna be stuck on an airplane and you don't have to think about anything else for the weekend.
I kind of have the opposite problem. I've had like nice restful nights before flight, but more often than not, I feel that for whatever reason, I can't sleep before a trip. Not because I'm excited or nervous. It's just that like, I think because my body knows that I have a big day the next day, it like stays up to spite me. And I'm like, why can't I fall asleep?
Is it the Wisconsin one where we're like waking up like...
we were
like
really
3 or 4
early flight. Yeah, we were really early flight out there.
Our flights suck.
That's gonna
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
That's gonna be hard. That's
Super
gonna be
early
tough,
and
but-
super late flights, so we get the best of or the worst of both.
Yeah, I'm
but
definitely
whatever.
gonna bring all my toys to video games and comic books and just veg out. I don't know, because it's just gonna be
It's
tough.
gonna be fun.
I'm excited though. I mean, not everything we do is fun. I'm doing the little quotation mark symbol or the quote symbol.
I mean, I guess some people would think flying's fun, but then go fly out to somewhere and then have to fly an hour back to get to your
performing
destination.
it's great, but it's not like packing and doing all the technical stuff behind the stages scenes is always fun. It's not. I mean, sometimes it
Yeah.
is, but it's a lot we have to go through just to get to the fun part that people actually enjoy.
Sure.
And David knows better than all of us because he handles a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, especially during live shows. Like it's hard. It's a lot of work. It's stressful just to get to that.
Yeah.
You know, the explosion on stage of energy for like
Yeah.
for 2 hours.
Oh, I think I don't think me and Camille had our new Walter Worker uniforms the last time we did a podcast. That's
Oh,
just
yeah.
a little new thing we have.
Was San Diego the first time you did it? Or?
No. Well, actually, our first time wearing them was at the June 18th live stream. So maybe we did wear them,
Okay.
like right before the last podcast. But I wasn't on that podcast.
Oh, I
but I
see.
just wanted to, talk about how you might not notice from like photos or videos that they're different because they look pretty similar. But like we got an upgrade and improvement on our Walter Worker uniforms. They're kind of like, they don't have arms now. They're like vest style dresses with like the panel, the buttons down one side. We are wearing our ballet uniforms underneath. So we're still wearing like white long sleeve spandex, that's our arms. So it like blends in with the costume. We have so much more mobility now in our arms.
That's great.
We actually some of the choreography for me and Camille in the overdrive dance is what it is because we had to accommodate the shoulders and not being able to raise our arms. So like when we choreographed overdrive, some of the stuff we do with our arms like at our waists is because we can't lift them higher. And now like, we have a lot more mobility and we factored in the new costumes when we choreographed the Me and My Baby dance. And yeah, so like if you see those at a show,
They look sharp.
they look sharp.
They look
really
They
good.
look like mad scientists stuff. And
Yeah.
it looks, I mean, it makes sense.
They're sleeker now without the shoulder
Right.
poofs, and like I just really like the look of them.
It makes sense to change them because when the Walter Workers premiered, they weren't really doing dancing and stuff. So
We
it's kind of adapted to what you guys have turned them into.
right.
So it's great.
The old dresses we inherited from past performers who weren't doing what me and Camille do, so it made sense to get new ones, and like we're very happy with them.
It's great. Great collaboration. It came together really nice. Really nice dresses.
Yeah.
They look awesome. I think I'm next on the list. Esther said after Comic-Con could get to mine. I'm like wearing and my old dress. I literally have wax paper on covering my lights because it's just
Oh.
my costume's falling apart.
Oh.
It's just so old and
Yeah.
and it was a thin costume. It was just it didn't last very. It's all right though. I was long overdue.
Yeah.
Mine's the same. I've had 2 costumes.
I feel like is yours like I don't know. Maybe yours gets a little. No, mine is technically like a vest too because I'm like, but I don't know. I guess the material just breaks down after a while.
Yeah.
I've had it adjusted. I've had things repaired on it, but I've kept it the same.
Yeah. Mine is just I wouldn't mind just having the same one made again, but we decided to try something new. I'll post concept art for Engineer-eteers eventually,
yeah.
but kind of wait till Esther actually gets like a little further in. She hasn't even started, but yeah, and we'll probably revisit some Zero's costumes too. We're playing with stuff. It always evolves based on like David's vest or my previous costumes. It's always like, what does the actor performer need?
Yeah.
Eventually, it becomes that like what's comfortable, and
Right.
sometimes we try weird stuff that just is not very practical.
Yeah. But it's good that not everything's gonna work, but
Yeah,
like the more ideas you can throw out, the better, I guess.
it's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun. I enjoy that aspect of the job and
Mhm.
talking with Esther about it and everyone. It's because I get to do most of the concept art and I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, designing, helping Hatchworth come up with, or Sam,
Yeah,
come up with his
even
costume
even
was
though it's
really
not
great.
what we decided on, I loved your concept art when we were thinking of doing new Walter Worker dresses.
Yeah, and it just comes down to like what is practical. Like
Yeah.
even though it might be cool
I
for like,
I loved the idea of the tool belt, but when we like considered it practically,
doesn't make
we knew
sense.
that we're doing a lot of dancing and stuff, and it would be encumbering. But like there were some cool ideas.
I mean, maybe if you guys weren't performing, it would look cool. But then it's like,
Right.
what are we gonna carry these two bus?
We
just,
even
just,
considered that. We were like, well, maybe we can still make them and have
Right.
us wear them when we're not performing, like at the table and stuff. And then we were like, well, that's
It'd just
extra
be-
weight in
yeah,
the suitcases, and like, yeah, we considered a lot of things. And like, I also really loved the like big black shiny gloves that kind of look like Dexter's Lab gloves.
yeah, those are
But,
cool.
You know, lots of things that like visually fall by the wayside when you end up putting it, you know, into practical use.
I think it's always
there
good
was good stuff.
to visit that stuff and then
Oh yeah.
just to say no, just because you never know what might actually stick. But now
Yeah.
looking at it, it's like, yeah, there's just no way. Like,
Well, maybe if our characters, if we were doing different things physically, if we weren't dancing a lot,
Yeah.
you know, if we were like just selling merchandise, or like, you know, if we were doing something different,
Yeah, but
then maybe they would work. But it's
it's just not practical.
Yeah.
It's like, do people really care? Like, I'll probably draw them in the comics with that if they
Right.
happen to be working on something. But
And even our new goggles we talked about, because I can actually see through them. Our
Mhm.
old goggles were prop goggles, and they weren't actually like lenses you could see through. But when we changed them at the end of last year, they have like these swirls painted on them, but you can actually see through the lenses.
can you see on stage though, or is it too
Yeah,
dark?
I've tried them on. I have danced in mouse masks for the Nutcracker, which were like barely, you know, you could barely see through them, and I've done a bunch of dancing and things like that. So like I'm used to like flying blind on stage, but like it would be dangerous. It would definitely be dangerous.
Would it smudge your makeup?
That was my only issue.
Yeah.
Because I was like, because for a while I had this idea. I was like, oh, it would be really cool if when we came on for our little like Walter Worker bits
Right.
where we've got the wrench and stuff and working
You're
on the
like,
robots, we had them on and they would still be glowing like flashing blue. But yeah, once again, it's like we could do it, but it's just more work of like,
Right,
oh,
yeah.
it'll mess up the makeup. It would be definitely like a hindrance. We could see through them, but it wouldn't be a lot of visibility. Don't want anyone tripping. You don't want to create dangers for
Right,
yourself.
right.
But yeah, we had lots of cool ideas.
Yeah, it's fun. I like the, I don't know, brainstorming and
Yeah.
we're spoiled. It's our job.
Well,
All right, time to call it because I'm getting tired.
okay.
Yeah. All right.
All
It's
right.
a
Well,
shorter one, but
yeah.
hey guys, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. We covered some stuff. All right. Well, yeah. So Kenosha, Wisconsin, Bristol Ren Fair on July 29th. If you're in the area, our next show after that is at the end of August. UK, Lincoln, Steampunk Asylum. Asylum Steampunk Festival.
We might have another podcast. I don't know. Can we
Yeah.
even do it next week? Maybe.
Next week, I think we have more time,
We're
but
coming back Sunday
yeah.
real late.
We're
so
coming
we
back
probably
late
won't.
Sunday. We probably
maybe
won't have one next week.
Tuesday. I don't know.
well, let's hope the next one's a little more energetic.
We'll announce it soon.
It was a podcast from Steam Powered Giraffe. He was the Bennettarium. Oh, we're going to the Bristol Renaissance Fair next this week. Years come, it was a Bennettarium.
What boy?
It was Bennettarium. And we'll see you the next time, hopefully not in a month.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you.
Bye.